How does that? Greetings to the Adult in the Room podcast, Victoria Taft. I am your Sherpa. I am a news Sherpa for the day. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about, later, we're going to talk about Iran, what's going on there, and what it means for the United States of America. So, the president has said that he wants to stop the killing there, and indeed, there have been a lot of people killed on the streets protesting, and so wants to stop the killing there. Okay, got it, good. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what that means, what it may look like with an expert, because God knows I'm not. And so, hallelujah, we've got somebody who knows more than I do about this whole thing. And we'll talk to him coming up. He's written a book about it. And so that's cool. So that's later. So remember now we talked a couple of weeks back about the signal and the noises before Christmas. We talk about, because Mr. Wonderful talks about the signal and the noise. And if I understand what he means by that, it means that you're seeing one thing. And this is what we need Scott Adams for now. God bless him. Yeah, sure. My mic's really low? Really? Oh, great. Hold on, everybody. Can you hear me better now? Let me turn this down. How about this? Is this better? Better? Alex just told me that there might be some issue with my microphone, which... The volume, yeah, I got the volume up. The volume's on 100. It's on 11, brother. So we're good to go. I mean, I hope. Yeah, good. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? God, what is going on here? We did have a electricity outage earlier today, a power outage. She tried to remember how to say it. And so I'm going to get this thing as close to my mouth as possible. Hey, how you guys doing? I still appreciate everybody being. So check in, and I want to know whether or not you believe that the President of the United States should invoke the Insurrection Act. And that what that means is the Insurrection Act, I read here from the Washington Post, and a story that my former colleague from IJR days, Megan Vasquez, helped write. There's like 4 bylines on this thing, and she watched Washington Post reporter. So anyway, the Insurrection Act enables a president to deploy military on U.S. soil in extraordinary circumstances to quell an insurrection. Of course, everybody finds this hilarious because, of course, that was the very first thing they said about the media as well as the Democrats who had already pre-planned this whole thing and how the information operation was going to take place during and after the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And so, good. My audio's fine according to one of our listeners, LaDonna. So thank you, LaDonna, for weighing in on that. Thank you so much. Anyway, so yeah, you can do that. But civil disorder, armed rebellion, and now, of course, we know that the rioters in Minneapolis, many of whom came for their riot tourism, I guess do they have like cards that they get checked? For example, if you go to a coffee drive-through, I go to a coffee drive-through every now and again. I have a punch card. And I think that every riot they go to, it's like, like when I was working at a presidential library. And so, because why not? If they'll take me, I'll be there. I like history and all that stuff. Come on. Deal is that, you have a book that you get, like if you go to all the national parks, you get a stamp And same thing with all the national presidential libraries, at least under those in NARA, which I think is a bad idea now, that especially in retrospect. But anyway, the National Archives people now run several of them, if not most of them, and they send out, you got a little book, you can do that, and you get punched. Now, I think that's what the riot tourists do. But I do digress for just a moment to tell you about the noise. And, if the signal is there's something really bad going on in Minneapolis, there's something going on in Minnesota. Of course, this is on the heels of that. Remember the Republican lady? No, I'm sorry. She was a Democrat. No, yeah, she's a Democrat lady who voted with Republicans to stop giving away free money to illegal aliens. She was the only Democrat to vote with that. And then, she ended up dead later by a guy who had a No Kings poster in the back of his car. So I don't know. And he said, I'm sure this is the way he looked. I've been sent by Tim Walz. Okay. The guy's a kook. Okay. Whatever. However, that's something to think about. Just throw that in the bat. I'm not suggesting anything that like Tim Walz took out a hit on that lady. I'm not saying that at all. I think that was just a very bizarre thing with a crackpot of a man who used to be in the inner circle of the Tim Walz world. So, but there are a lot of things going on in Minnesota. That's the signal. This is the signal. It's Nick Shirley going out and showing you where the money is being hoovered up, subsumed, eaten away from the world, from the use of the American citizens in the state of Minnesota. That's the signal. And the noise is everything all around it. Now, here's what happened last night in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And Nick Sorter took this video. I'll explain what I can. Here we go. Oh, wait. I lied. This is a couple of days ago. This is what I was going to set up as for the possible so-called insurrection. And it's this. There were people at a hotel who thought that the ICE officers were staying there, and they broke in and they mobbed at the place. Okay? And on it goes. Yeah, woo! That's not actually a cop siren that you're hearing. That is from the noisemakers by these children having a party. So that is, so everybody gets a stamp for that particular riotous event. And so that happened a couple of days ago. Then here we have the collection of people who have, because there was a mob out there and there was no one to help the ICE and Border Patrol officers out there, they abandoned their vehicles. That's what it sounds like. At least that's what Nick Sorter said in an interview today. And they abandoned their vehicles because they were going to get mobbed. They were going to get hurt. They were going to, well, you know what would happen if the mob caught up with the ICE officers, right? You know that, right? And Tony writes in, I hope you know these people are that they're atheists. They all hate God. Well, most communists do. I've never met a communist who thought he wasn't God. And so God really doesn't like the competition. And so I understand that. That's absolutely true. I mean, these people are communists, and I'm an anti-communist. I don't go for that. Anyway, so so what we had was people abandoning their cars, the ICE agents. Okay. And then this happened. Don't hit them. That's it. That's a lockbox from a car that we believe it is an FBI car. And that lockbox, that's actually a gun safe. And it was locked up and in the back of the car. This is Nick Sorter's video. This is the noise.
He's gonna break that bitch.
Please don't. Don't fuck with Minneapolis. They got the motherfucking thing.
Switch on the back of that bitch.
Okay, so this goes on for a little while longer. Woo! They finally break into it. And what they find is a rifle. And that looks a little something like this. They go through the plunder, like the Somali pirates they are, and or the nutters that they are, in Minneapolis last night. Watch.
Almost there. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
There's some bullets.
Hey, that's a 40 shell? I don't know.
Yeah. So now they're taking all the stuff out. Now,
Tourniquet there.
all the IDs and stuff like that.
Did he get...
Bill thinks ought to be caught and shoot. Well, if you don't have any cops there to do anything about it, and you don't have any backup for the feds, oh, they won't do that. Arrest them? I don't know, Bill. They really do. They really do want to Charlie Kirk someone. They've said so out loud. Some of these people, they're crazy, but there you go. That's absolutely right. I believe it is. So, Og writes in and says it's a trap. Absolutely, in this respect. Let me just stop that for a second. In respect, yeah, they want a distilling moment. They want a moment that's going to catalyze the mobs even more. You will have everyone wanting to get their riot punch card in Minnesota. They will come in droves from all over the place. They will come from Atlanta, Cop City. They will come from Portland, Rose City, Antifa. They will come from Seattle, Portland, Rose City, Antifa, and the add-ons. They will come from wherever, LA. I mean, wherever they came for the riots previously, they will come. And that will be a complete, it will be a shit show, is what that will be. Excuse my language. And so you don't want that. That's why you have to remember what the signal is. The signal is the graft. Even Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, has decided that it is better that he get out of election bid for governor than stay in and have the scrutiny from his state, from people like Nick Shirley, and from the feds. So this is a big issue. Last night, right after he gave this speech, all of this happened. Watch this.
Go. Oh, shit.
Once again, this is Nick Sorter's video. Kelly says, I like it when you say Tampon Tim. Thank you, Kelly. It's true. I have a great meme. Has anyone seen the Tampon Tim meme of many that there are out there? I will show you my favorite one, and I keep trying to get PJ Media to allow me to use it. And no, you can't use it for a feature photo, Victoria. Stop it. Knock that off. I'll show it to you in a minute. It is all going to be a whitewash. Yes, it will be, Tony. And the reason for that is because the state officials want to retain the custody of any and all cases. That's why I believe that there will be federal cases brought as a result of these activities against the feds. Now, so this is the chaos. This is the planned chaos and the planned noise. This is the plunder of the stuff that was found in the police officers and or FBI officers, some Fed. They abandoned that couple of cars and they broke into them. And it is no bueno. And they got a lot of stuff. In fact, you're going to love this. I'm going to find this video. For some reason, I am going to make sure you see it. And the video is, here we go. Hold on. Where is that? I got it last night. So, of course, naturally, it's a long ways away from my list today. And it's these guys going through everything. And they find warrants. These are warrants for arrests that they were going to accomplish and carry out. So I'll find that video. For some reason, I can't. I've got 5,000 videos for the show today. And do you think I can find the one that would really make the point here? Why, of course not. I will try in a minute. So they get this. And there are challenge coins. I have challenge coins right here. Can you see my challenge coins back there? And they were mocking the challenge coins. And I'm mocking these people right back. They were FBI challenge coins. Okay. So that's why people believe that this was an FBI car. And I saw the acting director of ICE on the TV today, and he was saying that, well, we can't actually say what kind of a car it was. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, everybody knows who's been watching these videos since last night is an FBI car because of the challenge coins and that sort of thing. Anyway, they tried to make that some sort of nefarious thing. Oh, yeah. Kelly, thank you. Thank you. Anyway, good luck out there, Victoria. Well, thank you. It's all good. It's all good, dear, from Tony. Point taken. So, all right. So they go through one of the cars. They see warrants for people's arrest and deportation. And I loved that because, of course, that means they have warrants. And that means there's due process. And by the way, these are warrants that are immigration warrants that are not judicial warrants. That's why all the Democrats are going, oh, there must be judicial warrants, because they saw how well that worked out for Abrego Garcia and his folks who were on his side. He's the MS-13 gangster who beats his wife. So, and then he's an illegal alien and he was a human trafficker. So, I mean, the guy's just definitely not somebody we want in the country, but nevertheless, they kept coming back and back and back and going after the Trump administration for keeping this guy or deporting him, putting him in the Ecuadorian jail and that sort of thing. And they said, okay, we have to bring him back. You stop that plane right now, President Trump, and bring him right back. That guy is going to get deported because he's guilty as hell and he's going back to wherever. They were trying to send him to Africa and he didn't want to go. I can't imagine why. That would be a perfect place for a gangster. Anyway, maybe Somalia. I mean, they could just get together. That might be perfect. So all of this stuff happens after Tim Walz. Tim Walz makes this speech, and we're going to stop and start it, okay?
Ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools. They're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
This is such a distortion of what's actually happening on his streets of his state that it is just incredibly contemptible and irresponsible for him to characterize this activity this way. And it's a very reason why the Minnesota police, who, by the way, are leaving in droves, they are now taking all this free time off that Tim Walz just gave to illegal aliens in the state, as well as everybody else in the state. And so I understand from people who would know, reporters who would know, that many Minneapolis police officers are taking that leave because it is a disaster in the city of Minneapolis right now, and they don't want to be a part of it. I don't know. I can only imagine that many of them are woke. But, you know, the pregnant woman that Tim Walz just talked about, that is a woman who's an activist. I'm sorry she's pregnant, but she also resisted arrest. Sorry. You don't get any special favors because you've got a bun in the oven, lady.
Kidnapping innocent people with no warning. And
Kidnapping them. My
Let's
God.
be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened. And yet, instead of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death, the Trump administration is devoting the full power of the federal government.
I'm sorry. I was supposed to share the screen with that. Oh, man. I'm coming back to Tim. Don't worry. Because this is Tim moderated. This is Tampon Tim moderated.
To attack the victim and her family. Just yesterday, 6 federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs rather than go along with this assault on the United States Constitution.
He just equated the wholesale fraud in his state with violating the U.S. Constitution. Think about that for a minute. This is the governor. This is the guy who's got nothing left to lose because he knows he's in the crosshairs of the feds because they know that he's getting banked from all of the squalor and all, in addition to the fact that he's getting stuff from the graft. We believe that. That's probably what's happening, which is why he's shaking in they boots and why he pulled out of the race. So, yes, Democrats, let's see, who's this? Democrats will face a camera and lie and exaggerate about everything. Hold these liars to their lies. Never Democrats. Yes, thank you so much. You look like Marjorie Taylor Greene if you ordered her from Wish. I don't even know what that is, but I bet it's probably a website I wouldn't visit. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Everybody, you know, when people don't like what you say, they always go after your looks. What can I tell you? I wish I were as strong as she is. She's a gym rat, so good for her. Anyway, continuing with Tampon Tim.
But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of this state who dared to vote against him 3 times.
Could it be that it's retribution and a reckoning due to the fact that there are people who are ripping off the federal taxpayers in your state and you're giving them cover? Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Furthermore, they're giving out droves of cash to people who are either illegally there or who are involved in the fraud. So, of course, it makes eminent sense to do what the president has talked about. But now I just want you to know that right after he gave this speech in which he tries to gin up more hatred, and by the way, he and Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, gave their speeches last night. This is one of them, obviously. This is Tampon Tim's. And they moderated their tone. This is a moderation of their tone. Previously, they continued to say, "Oh, they're kidnapping. It's unconstitutional what they're doing." No, And they need not be in there causing the chaos. Who's causing the chaos? Who's causing the chaos? Isn't it the people who listened to that speech, and right after this speech, when ICE showed up or the Border Patrol showed up, I don't know which entity did at this point, that the people, they had warrants out for their arrest and they were to deport these illegal criminal aliens, jumped one of the officers and began striking him with snow shovels and a broom. And he shot back and got their legs because he was down on the ground. Yeah. Hey, Tim, what do you think of that?
And running their operations according to training. Last night, what we saw was 3 individuals weaponize shovels and brooms and attack an ICE officer that had to defend himself. So we're hopeful that we don't see that again, that these protesters and violent rioters will be held accountable for the actions that they're taking, and that our officers can do their work safely.
Okay, so Tampon had discussed last week. These things are happening at light speed. These moves. The news cycle is the fastest I've ever seen it in my life, and I've been in the news business for a long time.
Unknown caller.
The adult in the room. Oh, hello there. Thanks. I appreciate it. Can you hear my phone? I'm sure you can, because that's hilarious. Hold on. Let me just go to my do not disturb, which is on. Okay, I guess I better turn it off. Anyway, be that as it may. So right after that, then these guys attacked this ICE or Border Patrol person. And so there's a through line right there. And that's what Kristi Noem was saying, that there was an attack on these guys with shovels and a broom, and he was down on the ground and getting the crap beaten out of him. And I imagine he got some hospital help, just like the lady, Renee Good, who rammed her car into the ICE officer, and then later he had internal injuries. Okay. Wow. There's a better chance of you getting out of Minnesota than your politicians getting out of Minnesota. Yeah, that's probably true. In answer to somebody who said, I'm a Minnesotan and I'd love to get these people out. A lot of people would. Yes, deport people. Indeed, there was a flight that took off last night full of illegal aliens being sent out of this chaos. Somebody says here, let's see, the Fed is causing the chaos. See, that's exactly what your friends want you to see. That's not what's going on. If the Antifa types, if the BLM types, the so-called, the people who are part and parcel of the left protest movement weren't there, there wouldn't be any violence. Do you think that the people who are causing these problems, that you think if they left, there would be violence anyway? I doubt it. If you're talking about getting people arresting people, that I suppose could be perceived as violence, but that's at least with a warrant. I mean, you could say that about anybody who gets caught up by the cops, couldn't you? Couldn't you say that? Okay. So, yeah, of course. Somebody else says, Kristi Noem is a terrorist. Okay. That's why, this is an interesting factoid, a sidebar to the chaos. Now, remember, the signal is law and order. The signal is all the graft that's going on, that we're seeing with our own eyes. The illegality going on in Minnesota. And the noise is these people, these folks who are tearing it up, attacking folks, and who say incorrectly that this is illegal behavior by the feds. I'm sorry, it's not. Even when they started rounding up J6 people and they used SWAT teams to do it, they're not even doing that with these people. They were doing like grannies in Alaska. They used a stinking SWAT team to get her. Like, why? She wasn't doing it. I'm sorry, trespass? What? So, and of course, that was legal because somebody said they were domestic terrorists. Now, those people at J6 who had a riot for an hour versus these people, who are the domestic terrorists again? I don't want to get in it's not even a jump ball. It's not even close. Of course, these people are. They're organized and they're part of a plan to create chaos, foment chaos in the United States of America, to because they don't like Donald Trump. But if it were any other Republican, they'd do the same. They would do the same. They don't care. They honestly don't care. So let's see what else. These guys are so bad, says this one person. These guys are, I'm a Minnesota, and I wish we could get them out of office. They really, really are bad. It is unbelievable. Let's see. ICE are criminals, says the same guy who thinks Kristi Noem is a terrorist. Okay, buddy. Whatever you want. Whatever you say there, fella. Better chance. I already read that one. Let's see. Goodbye. Goodbye. Pedro. Goodbye. Seraphine. Okay, so I don't know. Insane comments that Noem is a terrorist. When you guys say that, it makes us think that you're even more stupid than we thought, and you don't understand what a real terrorist is. Well, that's true. It does sound dumb. In fact, the whole thing is dumb. This is not illegal. It just is a bad look, right? I mean, can we just agree that arresting people, in a wholesale fashion like ICE and Border Patrol are really hard to look at? We can say that, right? Yeah, of course we can. We should be able to do that. And so as a result, President Trump's taken points off his approval ratings on the issue, but he's getting people out of the country, and he's saving people money. I think that is worth something. So I agree that that's something that should be seen as a positive. And having people who like to be in our country and don't want to abuse it, who just came here because they thought the S in the USA was a dollar sign, I think that's probably the kind of people we don't want in the country. Yeah. Real choppy feed today. I wonder what the heck's going on. I'm on Cat 6, deal. I don't know. I don't understand cable. I live there. I see you are a liar, says somebody. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know if they're referring to me or one of the commenters. Let's see. Stop your blanking, lying, and your propaganda, you blanking Botox blank. Oh, okay, sure. I need Botox. I could use some Botox. What are you talking about? You obviously, you know what? You don't use Botox. That's why you don't know how great Botox is. I know a lot of people with headaches love Botox. If the feds leave, the violence leaves. No. Well, if the feds leave, well, maybe, but you're still stuck with your rioters, aren't you? Who would show up to an envelope opening if they thought if it was something opposed to their values. I think this is not a necessarily bad thing that they're in there, and they've sent more. And you know why they had to send more? Because the local leadership will not provide law enforcement cover to help keep the rioters away. Tampon Tim said that he was thinking about calling out the National Guard. And of course, this is the guy who abandoned the National Guard in the Iraq War, but be that as it may, he wanted to call out the National Guard to protect the rioters. Now, it'd be one thing if he could call out the National Guard to protect the people who are trying to enforce the law. There is something about that. It would be great, but he's not going to do that. And in fact, has totally dropped the issue that I'm aware of. I have not heard him talk about that. Let us continue with Tampon Tim's speech last night, in which he tries to stir up the masses against ICE.
Who continue to stand up for freedom with courage and empathy and profound grace. All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are being unjustly and unlawfully targeted. They're distributing care packages and walking kids to school and raising their voices in peaceful protest, even though doing so has made many of our fellow Minnesotans targets for violent retribution. Folks, I know it's scary, and I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation.
He calls it an occupation. He called it an occupation. Now, for those people, for some people, that connotes a really negative thing, occupy. Oh, no, unless you're a leftist, in which case Occupy Wall Street's just fine. Occupy Portland, occupy New York, occupy whatever city. And they love to occupy stuff, but they don't want the federal government to be here because it makes them look bad. That's really what it is. Kim says that she loves ICE. Okay, good for you. Timmy, this person writes, Timmy wants the noise to distract from his criminal acts. Please lock this treasonous governor up. I completely agree. Obama deported 3 million. Obama did it at the border. This is one of the reasons why we have to, the feds see a need to do this and go in and arrest people. Because, of course, Joe Biden left in, it's anywhere from, I think it's around 20 million people when he opened the borders, 2 million of whom he gave a social security number to. And so now those people are eligible to vote and they're not citizens. And so we know we know what all of this has been about. And it's to plus up the numbers in certain congressional districts and to flood the zone so that Americans feel overwhelmed. And that's exactly the way ICE is feeling right now with the people who support open borders. They don't support the United States of America. I mean, this is just simple math, right? If you're communist, you don't want order. You want chaos. That's what's going on here. And I don't overstate that. That's precisely what they're talking about. That's what they want. So anyway, this is Tim calling the federal agents occupiers. And if Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, he would bring in additional feds to provide the law and order cover for ICE doing their jobs. Okay. And now they're coming in with the federal investigators. In addition to that, here's the signal. And they are investigating all of the graft and waste and the billions of dollars that they've given away and has ended up in where? Somalia. Just unbelievable. Let's see. Look at you continuing to spread lies and misinformation. It really is sad. I'm not misinforming people, user. Obama deported 3 million. Already said that. Great feed. If the feds leave, the corruption continues. Well, thank you. That is exactly on point. That is exactly what happens. Now, I'm going to tell you something about what happened in Portland the other day, something to just watch this space. I'm going to remove our buddy Tampon Tim. I just want you to get another look at that. And I'm going to tell you what happened in Portland the other day, right after the Renee Good shooting. There was a shooting the next day, and the media immediately went to guns and said, oh my gosh, this is just the city of Portland. This happened to the city of Portland. And the city of Portland said, oh my gosh, it's terrible. This is, this is another shooting by ICE. It was an opportunistic thing. It made no sense. There was nobody available to do the right thing. We have to get these people out there out of control. Or it could be that the ICE agents were looking, or in this case, Border Patrol agents, were looking for bad actors. And they had warrants for them. And they tried to arrest them. They are under arrest now. They were Tren de Agua gangsters. And so one really interesting story caught my attention. And it is Andy No's story. You are trolling in the comment section. Good. Fine. And, but just know this. I talked to the Portland Police Bureau about this the other day. Report, first responder called ICE. God, we had a lot of, if you become a VIP member, you don't have to look at all these doggone ads. I'm appreciative for the ads because they pay my salary, if you will. But holy moly. First responder called ICE watch mob to protect Tren de Agua gangsters in Portland shooting. And I write here, this is so interesting when you start sharing your sharing your stuff, all of a sudden they disappear windows. When Renee Good used her car to ram Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officer in Minneapolis, she was doing so as part of the vigilante ICE Watch group. These ICE Watch groups monitor ICE and other federal border patrol officers who are out arresting murderers and kid predators and who are in the country illegally. These groups encourage people to follow federal officers, block their cars, and impede officers' ability to do their jobs. That's the point of what they do that for. But now, it never occurred to me, I write, that one of the good guys would call out the mob, even in Antifa-stan, in the People's Republic of Portland. And that appears to be what happened following the shooting by Border Patrol officers of the two Tren de Aragua members as the gangsters rammed the Fed's car over and over and over again. Just like the chick did, she did it to a person. And just like the other incidents that we've seen where they use their car as a weapon. And this was kind of interesting to me because I had never heard about a first responder calling out a mob while someone is receiving medical care. I honestly, before Andy No had the story, and I just, it's amazing to me, frankly. And here's his story about it. Let me just bring that up. It's just, so here it is. Here's the chick. She's the prostitute, or one of the, this is a prostitution ring run by Tren de Aragua. And so here's the way this looked. Who's the suspected Tren de Aragua sex ring operative in alleged Border Patrol Portland truck attack? She had a real jacked up truck. It's a Toyota Tundra, I think it is, and those are big trucks. And Tacoma. Sorry, a little smaller. And so what she did is she let her boyfriend, the Tren de Aragua gangster, drive her truck, and they drove their truck right into, I'll show you that in a second, right into the car. She's a real beauty, huh? Man. Anyway, I'll have some pictures for you of the truck damage done to the Border Patrol car. And the worst thing, in my opinion, the worst thing was this, that I hope it can see on your screen. This is the information that was being spit out on the cop shot 911. And someone used this and called out PDX ICE Watch to gather up a mob and mob the Border Patrol agents. But it turns out that our boy, Mr. Tren de Aragua, was doing just fine with his girlfriend's Toyota truck. And I think they told. Let me show you some pictures. I'd show you, all of a sudden, everything is truck. Let me see. Hold on. I put them in my story yesterday, but for whatever reason, it's really hard to see. Maybe I'll just go back to my story on the tab. Stand by. Give me 2 seconds. Here we go. Victoria's story. That's a different story. That's another one I wanted to bring to you. Okay, first responder. Now, watch this. I think you can see this. Did I take this? Yeah. No, you haven't seen this. I haven't switched over. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Nope. Look at this truck. Look at this. These are photos from what the truck did to the Fed's car. This is Pam Bondi. She's the Attorney General. Tweeted these bad boys out. Look at this. They did to this. This thing is trashed. He kept going over and over and over this car. and it is stunning. Look at that. It's just totally trashed. I can't believe that they were actually able to get away. And they had to, because guess what? Because the first responder asked the mob to show up. That is a stunner. That happened in Portland. And the thing is, you expect people to be professional. You expect people to put their political views aside for the betterment of the person they're trying to help. And the guy, he, of course, he was all crocodile tears and stuff. He had been shot in his lower extremities in a shot that was not life-threatening. And so was his, we can't figure it out. According to CNN, they are an Oregon married couple. According to him, she said, well, she's my wife. And now we don't know, actually. We also know she works for him as a hooker. So who is she? A hooker, I guess. Who's an illegal alien and also involved in a previous shooting in Portland. But what did the cops do? We saw on Tuesday, the chief of police, even while admitting they are Tren de Agua, starts crying. Oh, these are our neighbors. Give me a break. This police, the first in the Renee Good case in Minnesota, he didn't pull his weapon until she started driving at him. Yeah, that's true. We got one off. I can't believe he was able to unholster that thing that quickly. It's just amazing. They are paid. Some of them are. The people who organize the mobs are paid. Now, are the people who are on the streets paid? In some cases, they're given a stipend. In some cases, some people come out and give them money. In some cases, one guy came out to stand in front of a Mexican restaurant who was on, I guess for some reason, they thought that they were going to be targeted by ICE because they think ICE came in and talked to them. So they said to the lefties on all of their apps that they have out there that people where to send the mob, like this first responder did in Portland. They said, hey, come on, I need some help over here. I need people to stand up and watch out for my restaurant for me. And they did. And then this one guy shows up. He's got more GoPros than, Carter's got pills. He's got, microphone. He's got a nice phone. And I mean, I got a GoPro. I don't even know if mine can be updated anymore. It's so old. But they do have a great shot. Like Nick Sorter's video, when he showed everybody's faces as they took the locked gun box out of the back of an FBI car and someone stole the gun. And he got the license plate and a face shot of the individual he did. That dude's gone. That dude is over. Anyway, so we need borders, says Darren. Or what is the point of being able to be an American citizen? Well, that's right. Exactly, of course. Now, here's the other thing that we were talking about today. I just wanted to make sure that we covered this because Kenneth Abramowitz is here on the Adult in the Room podcast. And he's written a book about what's going on in Iran. For example, people are actually literally being shot. People are paying with their lives in Iran, standing up to the man. They're not LARPers or cosplayers. They are out there and they're getting hurt. And so let me show you, if I may, a picture of our guest. Hello, Kenneth Abramowitz. Thanks for coming on. Tell me about what's going on in Iran right now and what the president needs to do to bring peace there, if that is indeed even his job.
Well, I think Iran is an existential risk to America. It's promised to kill everyone in America, death to America. It's promised to kill everyone in Israel, death to Israel. Yeah. It's they subscribe to the theory that Jews, Christians, and Hindus have no right to exist. Only Muslims have a right to exist. and only their type of Muslims have a right to exist. They're Shiites, which is 15% of Muslims. They'd also like to kill the other 85% of Muslims, the Sunnis. I call them an Islamo-Nazi death cult. So I think when you're dealing with an Islamo-Nazi death cult, you have to destroy them before they destroy us. So to me, that's not the issue. The issue is how do you do it?
Yeah.
To me, that's the difficult thing. The 85% of the people want the criminal government gone. 15% of the people are making money off of the criminal government by stealing money from the other 85%. So it's an inherently unstable situation. And the obvious question is, what should we do about it? Is that what you want to discuss?
Yeah, I do want to find out what you think that the United States should do about it, what President Trump in specific wants to do about it or should do about it. And here is what the Ayatollah said yesterday. And he's now safely ensconced in another country, is he not? And he threatened the life of President Trump and said that they're not going to miss next time, showing a picture of the Butler assassination attempt and saying we won't miss next time, or words to that effect. What did you think of that, first off?
Well, usually there's a rule that leaders don't kill other leaders. And the reason we have that rule is for the safety of our leaders. And so there's a unwritten rule among leaders is you don't kill each other. So they're threatening to kill President Trump. Well, as I mentioned, they're a death cult. So they want to kill everybody. In other words, they want to kill everyone in America. President Trump's our leader, so they particularly want to kill him. So we're going to be confronted with this eventuality someday. In other words, either they destroy us or we destroy them. The world's simply not big enough for the Islamo-Nazi death cult of Iran and the American Democratic Republic to coexist. So my feeling is if we have a choice between one of them, it's not a difficult choice. I think the Iranian government has to fall. I think
Will they, though?
the leaders should be in jail.
Are they ready to fall, do you think?
Well, that's the big debate right now. The people are in the streets. The army is in the streets. I hear reports of 10, 15, 20,000 people dead. The Iranian death cult, if there's 90 million people in the country, let's just say 10 million are the leadership, part of the leadership, and 80% of the people, they would kill all the 80 million people if they couldn't care less. All they care about is being in charge and stealing all the money. So we're talking about one of the largest criminal organizations in the history of criminal organizations. They have no sense of morality. And the question is, will we save the 80 million people, or will they kill the 80 million people? And another question is, are we saving the 80 million people because we care about 80 million people, or are we saving them because we care about ourselves? I would argue it's direct American national interest to protect the 80 million because we're also protecting ourselves. So push going to come to shove. There's no non-military solution. The only question is this the week to do it? Should we wait another week, another month, another year? But we're going to have to confront this issue, and we might as well do it sooner than later.
No, the Ayatollah's in the Ruski land, right? He's hanging with Putin. At least that's my understanding. Tell me if you think that there might be another story there. And he's making death threats and he's trying to one-up Trump. Okay, got it. And so we don't know quite what to do at this point. And so I want to go back to Operation Midnight Hammer.
I know what to do, but the country we're in a democracy. Okay. We, the country, have to decide what to do. It's easy for me sitting, in my office here pontificating. It's harder when you're actually the president, obviously.
Sure, of course. And so what I want to know is, do you have any, I know I've heard since Operation Midnight Hammer, the mumbling, he didn't get all the nukes. He didn't get all the nukes. He didn't do anything to the Iranians and the Ayatollahs and, all the mullahs and all that stuff. Okay. What is your impression of how devastating the hit was in Operation Midnight Hammer?
Well, I can only say what I see in open source information. I have no secret agents working for me. So it looks like we got 80-90% of what we should have gotten. But I'm sure there's hidden stuff that we missed. And I mean, the Iran leadership's very smart. They're like squirrels. They squirrel away their weapons in mountains. But they also have ballistic missile systems. That's an existential threat to our to the region, and in time, existential threat to us, because those long-range ballistic missile systems will reach America with it before too long. They already have satellites that they can send up, and all you have to do is put a nuclear warhead or on top of it, and that becomes a long-range ballistic missile. They have drones, of course, but they also have a Navy, Air Force, but they also have 600,000 worldwide terrorists. It's 15 times larger than ISIS or Al-Qaeda ever was. And they have about 300,000 physical terrorists. They have 100,000 narco-terrorists, which we're going after now in Venezuela. And they have about 200,000 what I call cultural terrorists. That's mosques, schools, media, social media, basically teaching people that it's okay to kill Christians, Jews, and Hindus. I don't think that should be allowed. I think all those mosques, which I call incitement to genocide mosques, should be closed. The schools, and they're in Latin America and Africa. So this is a worldwide terror organization. It's Al Qaeda and ISIS on steroids. We went after Al Qaeda. We went after ISIS. We have no choice but to go after Iran.
Did you by any chance see the interview that Brett Baer had yesterday with the person who's the spokesman for Iran? I can't remember his exact title, but I was absolutely gobsmacked by that interview and how the guy continued to say that it was the Jews, and it was that's who's actually on the streets. That's who's doing all the murder. Believe it. I mean, I understand that there might be some bad actors out there who might want to foment chaos. We've seen it on the streets of the United States of America. We know this happens, and they like to have their little Reichstag deal. But do you find that there was any truth at all in what that gentleman said yesterday on Fox News?
Well, when you're dealing with a death cult, they lie 99% of the time. Once in a while, they come up with a statement like, I want to kill all the Christians, Jews, and Hindus in the world. And then they go back to lying. So, but in general, they lie 99% of the time. So they blame all their problems on Israel. Now, when people write the history books on Iran, they're going to end up saying, and I'm going to write an article on this, anti-Semitism represents an existential risk to every criminal organization that adopts it as a policy. If you don't believe me, go ask Adolf Hitler what his opinion of its anti-Semitism. So consumed by anti-Semitism, it led to the demise of Germany at that time. Well, anti-Semitism is going to lead to the demise of Iran. The reason is they spent all their resources trying to blow up Israel and not even feeding their own people, not providing water for their own people. The country's running out of water. They can't. They're talking about moving 15 million people out of Tehran because they can't supply them with water. How can a government not have water for their own people? Because they squandered their resources on missiles and 600,000 worldwide terrorists instead of their responsibility to their own people.
I couldn't agree more in terms of the fact that they don't have water. I mean, just ask Gavin Newsom how water's going in California. Talk about squandering an opportunity. Talk about making really, worrying about the embellishments when you needed to worry about the basics. I mean, that's pretty silly. Hey, let me ask you about this, because your book, The Multi-Front War, what do you make of what's going on in Minnesota right now?
It's all part of the multi-front war. The thesis of my book, which I wrote 5 years ago, but I updated it 4 times, most recently about 8 months ago. And the thesis was, in contrast to World War I and II, which were fought over there, World War III, which we're in right now, to quote the Beatles, is here, there, and everywhere. So our foreign enemies have penetrated our country and basically control half of the states through their agents. They have special agents working for our foreign enemies. These agents are called Democrats. And they have infiltrated half the country, and they're acting in the interests of our enemies, not in the interests of America. So our enemies, which I call the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, the Reds are the communists, China, Russia, the Greens are the Islamists, that's Iran, Qatar, and the Blues are the globalists, color-coded blue for the UN colors, and the drug cartels. They have made the decision to destroy America.
Yeah.
So they're working to destroy America from within. Because when you're fighting a war, you don't want to fight a physical war when you're not so strong. So they're fighting what I call a cultural war and a demographic war. And they've paid the Biden administration, or convinced them, however you want to look at it, to have open borders so that they could invade our country.
Right.
So we've been purposely invaded by 20 million illegals, and we have to get rid of these illegals. I'll guess 10% of them are paid professional terrorists.
I know that there are terrorists that we know have been allowed into the country under the Biden regime. But I just, it looks brutal in Minneapolis right now, where you've got ICE going and making arrests, and people go, oh yeah, they're shooting people. Well, that's nonsense. But I mean, it looks heavy-handed, right?
Now our foreign enemies have paid people in Minnesota to try to do their best to not allow the illegals plus criminals to be, plus terrorists to be deported, because they want to keep them within the country so that they can foment war, direct war later on. Also, they want them to get voting rights as Democrats and keep Democrats in power forever. And remember, the Democrats are working for the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, working for our foreign enemies.
Well, who are the Republicans working for? I mean, everybody's choosing a side.
Well, in theory, Republicans work for we the people. In theory, Democrats work for they the elites. So we Republicans believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 90%, for 100% of the people, minus the 10% who are criminals. Democrats believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for the 10% who are criminals. To me, that's the summary of the difference between the two political parties. And so the Republicans have to stay strong and not get overwhelmed by basically the criminals in the Democrat Party that are trying to destroy life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 90%. Bear in mind, the people in Minnesota, 90% of them, they have rights. They have rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They have rights to not live next to criminals or terrorists. They have rights for the police to come in and remove the terrorists. This is an insurrection. It reminds me of 1861, when the Democrats at that time were called Confederates. They declared war on the North. I call this World War III a continuation of the Civil War, which we thought we had won, but the Democrats didn't think they had lost. And so we're still fighting our Civil War. It's right in front of our eyes, and it's very sad to watch.
It really is. I mean, there are people who believe that the next Civil War has already started, and there is a body count on the part of the left for sure. And obviously, Renee Good is on the other side, but you don't attack somebody, you won't get shot. So, but can you talk about a little bit more about the foreign actors that you believe are inculcating themselves in this country and attempting to foment chaos?
Yes. Well, again, I have no special agents working for me, so I have open source information, the same information anyone else has on the internet or newspapers, whatever. So when bad things happen, I use my imagination. Or if you remember the Casablanca movie, round up the usual suspects. So when a governor in Minnesota is out of control and refuses to recognize the federal government as a legitimate government, and the chief of police and the attorney general and everyone is ignoring their responsibilities, someone's paying them to ignore their responsibilities. Now, we know that the governor there has gotten lots of money from China, so there's Chinese fingerprints all over the place. And Russia always has been working on chaos in America for 100 years, since the KGB secret police was set up. And so there's Russian fingerprints all over the place. So I'll guess that China and Russia are fermenting this turmoil so that to distract America from Ukraine, distract America from the Far East, distract America from Iran. In other words, make life difficult for the president domestically.
That's right.
So that he can't be as effective as he could be internationally.
I think that's exactly what they did the first time that he was in office, and I think they're trying to attempt to do that again, and I think he's bound and determined not to allow that to happen again. I don't know, though. I think the optics of the Insurrection Act, notwithstanding the fact that it might be helpful, might look bad. What do you think?
Well, as you know, the president has a direct constitutional responsibility to protect America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So it's not the way I look at it. You have to do both. You may not have the time, energy, and resources. I don't care. Your job, Mr. President, and he knows this, is to protect America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the foreign and domestic enemies are interrelated, and we're seeing it play out right now in Minnesota.
Yeah, no question about it. They do that on purpose. This we talk about the signal and the noise. This is the noise. The chaos is the noise. And, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, talks about the signal and the noise. So I stole it fair and square. I'm sure he has something much more profound to attribute to that and say about it. But I will tell you that in the lives of the kind of world we look at, the people who I watch on the streets of Portland and elsewhere in America, there's the signal and the noise. The noise is the chaos on the street. The signal is, why are they there deployed to distract? I always wonder about that. What are they distracting from? And I believe that what they're distracting from is all the graft that's been going on and the Nick Shirleys of the world identifying what's going on there. So appreciate it.
That's right. I mean, essentially, Minnesota's been taken over by a Democrat criminal organization. And so what they do is they throw criminality at the Republican Party to deflect everybody from the scent, so to speak, of what they've done. And very clever, very clever. Mm-hmm. But by the way, I didn't tell you, I do have one special source of information who's public. About 40 years ago, KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov was interviewed on TV. It's available on YouTube. Anyone can find it. KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov. And in it, he said, look, I'm 50 years old. I was at the KGB, and I defected in order to tell Americans what we were doing to you. And he says, my job was to destroy America by creating chaos in America and by getting you, meaning we Americans, to behave in our, meaning Russian self-interest, while you think you're behaving in your own self-interest. Yeah. So we inverted reality. And he said, he went like this to the interviewer, if you don't stop the KGB now, in 2 generations, which is now, your children, grandchildren will be communists. You will no longer be able to talk to them. They will have been so indoctrinated that they can't tell right from wrong. Now, I never met Yuri. I wish I did. 10 years later, he mysteriously died of a heart attack. KGB fingerprints are all over that heart attack, so to speak. But he warned us that the KGB, which is Russian secret police, were undermining America. And to me, this is a graphic example of it right now.
Kenneth Abramowitz, thank you so much. His latest book is The Multi-Front War. Thank you so much for coming on the Adult in the Room podcast, slumming with the little guys. Appreciate it. Really.
Pleasure to be with you anytime.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Wow. So that was somebody can interpret the events and comport them with what is going on that we believe internationally as well as nationally. I think he's right. These are people who do not believe in America. These are people who are acting against America. Why did Joe Biden allow the borders to be opened and opened wide? And remember some of the images we saw from that time. We saw, 20-something fit Chinese men, droves of them, come over the border. Like, what? We saw people who were of fighting age come over the border. There are, I think it's like over 1,000 Al-Qaeda agents in the country that they're currently watching at the counterterrorism center. This is a planned thing. I do not know why Joe Biden never went along with it. I think Joe Biden's auto pen was doing all of his thinking. And who are those people? No idea. But now let's get back to the signal. Why are we seeing, thank you very much, Robert, appreciate that. Why are we seeing the unrest on the streets of Minnesota? Why is the president then forced to talk about the issue of the Insurrection Act? Well, good question. It's because of stories like the one that Nick Shirley put together. Here is his latest video. His latest video is about more alleged Somalia-connected fraud.
Safari Transportation doesn't exist. It's actually a money wiring business. 617 Dreamline, inside of there, it's actually a liquor store. And then 617A is a place where there's a bunch of mailboxes and it says reliable ITT services. How are you doing, man?
I just want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making good money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No,
for instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607? It's not there.
And
why don't you answer?
How much money are
why don't you answer the question? Where's 617 Dreamline Security?
How much money are you making?
I make money
off
of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That my job
and attacking
is
the Somali community.
I'm not.
Okay, so this guy, I mean, he's starting to get pushback on the street now, and you'll have to notice that if you look around Nick Shirley, he's got security guys just right around him because they'll come for him too. The left will come. They'll assassinate him. They've already invoked the Charlie Kirk assassination in some of the signs that we've seen there. And so this is a problem. Now they lay out the issue, which we talked about on Tuesday because we got a presage of what was happening, right? And what was going on was, according to David Hawk, who's the guy who's been helping Nick Shirley and who's been looking into this for years, what we found out was that the transportation segment of this whole graft, if you will, is the key cog. He lays it out here.
Why is such a need for all these transportation companies here inside of Minnesota?
So if you think of this transportation as the hub of the wheel, so childcare is a spoke, adult daycare is a spoke, autism is a spoke, the interpreter services, which we can get into, that's another spoke. It all ties back to transportation. Why? Because those meals someone had to deliver those meals. Someone has to deliver the kid to autism, or say they did. So it all revolves around the transportation.
Okay, so he talks about it, of course, being all connected to the bus system, and by that I mean there's private buses that are given grant money, and they take people around to different things. Except they don't actually take a lot of people around to different things. They just ask the state for reimbursement for the people they allegedly take around for other things. Kids going to schools that aren't open, and there are people who are taken to Costco, supposedly, to do their shopping. That's a non-medical bus trip that they're taking. But generally speaking, David Hawk says, hey, man, I have never seen anyone in one of their vans. That's a problem. Continuing the signal. So here they are on the streets. I got a couple more bites of this.
Completely left the scene. He's nowhere to be found. And this parking lot, massive parking lot, actually never even had any transport vehicles, according to.
Now, remember, I'm just going to interject here, and I will roll that back so you can hear what he just said, in case you're all pissed off at me because I broke in. And that is they're at an entity that supposedly has this transportation company. And the problem is that there's a whole big parking lot where they could park all their vans, but there are no vans. Okay. And so they wonder about that. Now, that's a question. And we talked on Tuesday about the fact that, hey, you know what? You don't necessarily, like limo drivers, they keep their limos at home or somewhere else. They don't have an entity, an LLC or whatever, where they park said limo. They just keep it in their garage or something like that. But these are multiple bus companies, right? They claim multiple buses. So there should be some organized parking for them. Let's listen in.
Even had any transport vehicles, according to the guy who lived or had his office next to Muhammad. How quick do you think the fraud would dry out here in Minnesota if they were to cut out the transportation side of the fraud?
I think it would have a massive effect, and that the signal that would send would let people know the party's over.
And then finally, he reiterates with the whistleblower who was a federal narc officer. He was like a narcotics dude. I don't know if he was DEA or whatever. He was working at the Minneapolis airport, the international airport there, or whatever they call it. MSP is what he called it. And he was an inspector, and he was a guy looking for drugs, drug money, all things attendant to the drug trade, because that was his gig. And he retired in 2021 and saw millions of dollars in luggage carried by Somalis to go to be sent away to Somalia. Listen to this.
$1 million to $6 million in a suitcase. And there usually was, as far as I can remember, there was always two individuals traveling. So you would have maybe one guy with 2.2 million and another guy with 3 million. And
at airports, you're able to take $10,000 without declaring it. How are these guys able to take millions of dollars?
Because as far as I know, as long as they declared it, they were fine.
Isn't that just amazing? I mean, as long as they declared it, they're just fine. So what they ultimately, he says, because I don't want to take everything, I want you to go watch Nick's story, okay? But in 52 minutes. So it's actually a pretty well-paced story that he tells. And this guy, this former retired Fed, talks about the fact that they leave from Minneapolis. They go to Georgia, get a direct flight to Dubai. And from Dubai, they wire the money to Somalia. I don't know why. I guess you can't do that from the United States because it would be so easy to track down the money from in the United States. There are limitations to the amount that you can wire, et cetera. And so, as Nick just pointed out there, and there's so much you can take on a plane, it's just astonishing. I mean, you and I couldn't get away with that. You and I couldn't just like bring, oh yeah, we got $6 million in our suitcase. What? I mean, that's absurd, but they do it routinely. I don't know what they're doing now, but this was a story that made the news in 2015 and 2016. And that guy you just saw or heard from, he's all pixelated. He was the person who was the whistleblower on this story. Okay. And so then what happens is, I don't know what happens to the Somali guys that just took the money and then went to Dubai. I guess they come back and they do it again. It's every week. This was going on every week. So we're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And we know that the fraud in Minneapolis and Minnesota is up to possibly more than $9 billion. So, yeah, very interesting. Peter writes, the CIA has other targets, not the Somali mafia. Are we calling al-Shabaab the Somali mafia, or are these guys here who, remember now, the biggest recruiting area for al-Shabaab, which is an al-Qaeda affiliate, in Somalia was from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So that still stands true. I mean, it's probably like a Mormon missionary trip, right? You just go and you go, well, you can go just head on down to Somalia and do your time. And it's the Israeli army. Maybe this is the Somalian army, except they align themselves with terrorist organizations. Yeah. This is from Adam. I'm guaranteeing these people learn this from people in other states like California and New York. Maybe. Why, locational value of bodily health transfer through, I don't even know what that means. You start talking about sex, I just like, okay. No, it's just, I don't know, because I don't know all the inside crazy stuff. So, greetings, citizens, says Spora. Greetings to you. Back at ya. Yeah, so this is, this is the signal. So, that's why this is going on. And it's all coming from one start. Let me just explain this to you. For those of you for whom this is a mystery, and there might be some of you out there, there's a reason all these people are on the streets right now in Minneapolis. And the reason they're on the streets right now is to distract from this graft. They say they're there because of, ICE is there. Well, ICE isn't the only one there. The Justice Department has sent people there to investigate the fraud. They want as much attention focused and brought against the feds, any of them, in Minneapolis. Call out a mob, get people together, and to make it as untenable for them to be there as possible. And that is why this stuff's happening. This is the feds. Well, then this guy says he retired from the CIA, so I got to go see what he's talking about on the comments section. Thanks so much for the comments, guys. So this was a response by ICE or the HSI or whoever was doing this operation here to keep the protesters / rioters away from the operation that they were conducting. And one more time, yeah. This is where they direct. What's ironic is this is them going through the lockbox found in the back of a Fed car.
Eventually, with the truck,
And the feds are coming because they're not getting any help from the cops. Like, get out of the way. And they had to abandon cars, right? They had to abandon cars. And that's how come they got in the lockbox and got a barrel. That's right. The Antifa types got a rifle belonging to the feds. They also went over through the paperwork, and I don't know what the heck I did with that video because I got it last night. And sorry about that, but they go through the information in the feds, the paperwork from the Fed car, and it's warrants for arrests and deportations of people. So these people who say, well, there's no due process, they're lying, of course. Immigration courts work differently than judicial courts do, but also the fact that there were warrants and they had designated people against whom they were going. I mean, they came to arrest these people and deport them. They're criminal aliens. And They had warrants for them. And these people, I mean, no self-awareness whatsoever. None. Like, they're going, oh, here's a warrant, man. And it's like, yeah, you know, they do have warrants. Asshats. So, oh, look, it's the Karen network. Yeah. Due process for what? Of course. I don't know. Oh, anyway, so here come the crazies now. Oh, never mind. Let's see. Due process for millions that will ultimately cost billions and pause due process for citizens. Yeah, that's what they're telling you is going to happen. He's going to he's going to declare martial law, and he's going to stop the judicial system in the United States of America. No, what you're seeing is the United States of America judicial system having a conniption fit over Donald Trump. And one of the things that they've always done that. They of course, the first time he was in office, they underestimated him and said, oh, he's crazy. Now, Donald Trump is moving at light speed in his second term. And he's doing that because he knows he's going to have to make it through all of the woke justices that Obama and Biden put into black robes, and for whom they will always defer when they say, "Oh, we're going to have a national stay on this thing." Well, those days are over, pal. But he's doing it quickly, and he's doing it quickly because he knows he has to wend his way through the court system. As somebody put it the other day, Donald Trump is sticking and advancing, sticking and advancing. Sticking and advancing. He knows he's right. He's got the Justice Department, he's got his own White House counsel going, no, this is totally constitutional. Okay. So he's not doing things illegal. You just say he's doing things illegal. Just because you say that doesn't mean they're illegal or unconstitutional. It doesn't mean that at all. It's just you don't like the guy. Got it. You have made that eminently clear. Now, get out of the way. It's time. Anyway. And he also now remembers, oh yeah, somebody writes here. He also now remembers that Kavanaugh will agree to anything he does. What are we talking about? So, are you talking about John Roberts? Oh, I don't know. Kavanaugh will agree to anything he does. So he's got basically the Supreme Court in his pocket. Clarence Thomas definitely, and Kavanaugh, that's why. I think Kavanaugh is sometimes a squish, actually. And you know what you should ask yourself, and this is an excellent question if I do say so myself, and why more people don't ask it, I have no idea. But as we close today, I would ask you, why is it that we can always expect the three chicks on the court, three of the four, who are the leftists? Now, I will say that Elena Kagan is normal. Okay. She's like Ruth Bader Ginsburg in this way. They ask excellent questions. Their brain has not been completely subsumed by the woke mind virus. And then I will say that the Justice Jackson has now replaced Sonia Sotomayor as the most unfortunate justice on the court. So you can always expect those three to align together. Kagan has sided with like Gorsuch on a couple of things. Gorsuch has sided with them. They actually side, most of their decisions are like 7-2 decisions. So there's not that big gap. It's when everything is hyper politicized that they, get the 5-4, the 6-3. And so that's what happens. I listen to all the oral arguments for that. And I absolutely adore listening to the oral arguments. And Justice Jackson continues to beclown herself almost every time. And I always love Clarence Thomas. They go in order of seniority. So Clarence Thomas gets to ask questions, and he didn't ask questions for a long time because Scalia asked all the good questions he wanted to ask. So he just let him do it, and because he had seniority. So there you go. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Okay. Oh, I'm saying that he's. Let's just take a couple of these. Everything that's getting brought to them is just sanity upholding. It's not like they're going crazy or, oh, yeah, I know, totally agree. Pakinski, sorry, I beg your pardon. I know, they're like normal things. These are things that are not unusual. They are not outrageous. They are just in the realm of normal that are going to the court system. For example, like, oh, okay, the president may not deport the guy from, Columbia University who lied on his visa and came as a student, and he's like 40. And now that guy just got kicked out of the country. And it's like, it took over a year to get there because they kept, the left and the lawfare crowd kept saying, well, we have to appeal over here, and we've got 5,000 amicus briefs we've got to put toward this guy. We love this guy. He hates America, okay? Dude is a Islamist, and we don't need people like that. We don't want Islamists in this country. Muslims, great, fine. Islamists, no. And so this guy's getting kicked out. Well, Trump already knew that. He knew that from the gate. He knows that Kilmar Obrego Garcia, that dude's going to be out. He knows that. But he's got to go through the motions because he's trying to show people, look, I'm going through the process, doing it early enough. Now he's doing the 14th Amendment. He's doing the 14th Amendment with respect to birthright citizenship. He might win that one. It's just because the left keeps poking and making outrageous comments, and he's going, okay, we're going to find out. We are going to find out if anyone born in this country on a vacation is now a U.S. citizen, under birth tourism is now a U.S. citizen. Do not be surprised. It might happen. You just never know. Anyway, watch that space. Let's see. That's why. God bless President Trump, his administration, our armed forces, ICE, and our great nation. All justices are in bed together. It's a sorority. It is. And they're not in bed together. I think there was actually that schism between what's her name and Justice Jackson, and because Justice Jackson, in a previous decision she made, actually it was a dissent, which is where she usually is on the losing side. She was just like, yeah, no, dude, where'd you go to? I mean, it's like, because, Amy Coney Barrett used to be a law professor. Not that matters a hill of beans. But I mean, it does sort of convey the idea that maybe this person is a pedagogue and they know whereof they speak and what their students are capable of. And she's like, how did this chick get on the court? Anyway, criminal use of what? Negro children by, this sounds like a book title. Okay, got it. Scalia got a pillow on his corpse at the hunting ranch. I don't know. Name one thing Kavanaugh's gone against. I have to think about that one. Fair question. It's a fair question. I think there was one or two that I went, what? How did he not go with the majority on that one? Have you lost your man, bud? Yeah, I know. This is where you come for sanity. I know there are a lot of people who think, oh, she's a carrot and she's far right. Yeah, I'm far right, but it's come by honestly. I used to be a liberal. They lost me when they started with and I'm old enough, I'm an adult in the room, not a child. And they lost me in 1991 with the confirmation hearing of Clarence Thomas. And that was the first tranche of red-pilled people on my side of the political aisle. And I went, wait a minute, hold on. Aren't we trying to help black people instead of tearing them down? I mean, this guy's up for I'm a lefty, but at the time, and I'm a lefty, but I go, well, wait a sec. What's Joe Biden doing? What's Howard Metzenbaum doing? What's Ted Kennedy doing? This is a lie. You could tell it was such a put up job. It was just like that crazy chick who came out with the Coke bottle glasses and just disavowed her family and came out and said, well, that Brett Kavanaugh, he handed me a red cup, and I felt unwell and unsafe. Stop it. Shut up. Get out of here. It was as big a put-up job as that was. That whole thing against Thomas. They reopened the hearing to present the what's her name, who came out of the office. I mean, it's just absurd. So they lost to me then. I mean, it took me a while on other issues, And I thought, no. As I became a talk show host in radio for years and decades, you really are required to think through certain issues. And the more I thought through certain issues, the more I went, oh, yeah, that makes more sense to me. That's what happens. That's what happens when you do your homework. That's what happens when you do your homework. When you read and you go, oh, and then you go, oh, I'm on the side of America. That's where my first tribute is to God, country, husband, family. And, when you get your priorities in order, everything else flows. Everything else flows. Let's see. Let's look at some of the comments before we go. Let's see. And then Donald Trump just pardons that guy who was selling tons of drugs. Yeah, on the dark web. Yeah, I want to have him on. I've asked him on before. The guy who did Silk Road. I think that that case, they got him. They did. They got him. But did he do what they said he did? I'm a civil libertarian. I'm willing to listen to him. Donald Trump. Oh, I already said that. Okay. He forgot what he forgot. I don't know who forgot what, but let's see. Concealed game. A lot of book titles I'm seeing here today. Clarence Thomas. Let's see what. Clarence Thomas is a hypocrite. He was the only Republican there. He got in from affirmative action and closed the door behind. Oh, poo. Okay. Well, okay. So you say he's affirmative action. What affirmative action person do you know who's a conservative? Is he the only one? He might be the only one. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta go feed the hungry. Totally serious about that. I gotta go feed the hungry. I'm gonna make sure they got food. And that's what I'm doing right now, because that's what conservatives do, because they like to help people. It's true. It is true. I'll see you back here on Tuesday. I've already started booking for that show, so it's going to be really good. It's actually going to be really good. And I'll see you then. 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Look for my West Coast article tomorrow. I write a column every week on what's going on the West Coast, Mest Coast, and it's going to be a whopper tomorrow. Thank you so much. See you. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter, when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.